Hello everyone, welcome to this first video of DACL Attacks series. And this is going to be the first part. And here we're going to explore how we can exploit different DACL misconfigurations to abuse privileges and escalate privileges or move laterally within Active Directory environment. So let's dive in. First, let's do a little intro to DACLs, what they are. Let's briefly talk about what access control entries or ACEs are. So in Active Directory, access privileges for resources are usually granted through ACEs or access control entries. When, for example, a user tries to access or modify an object, for example, one user wants to modify a computer, the system will look at if the user is allowed to perform a specific action by analyzing the DACL. I'm going to show a visual what it looks like in a second for the object. And if it's used that the user has permissions, it will allow it. If no, the access will be denied, since access control entries in Active Directory have an implicit deny by default. Meaning if you're not specified in the DACL, you're denied access by default. So here's the actual visual from Active Directory. Here I have, we just open Active Directory users and computers, the default one. And then we need to make sure we have advanced features turned on in the view. And here we can search for a user. So for example, fcastle admin, and we go to security right here. And this is the actual ACL. It's like, hey, everyone can do this. WriteOwner. And we can see that the administrator has like almost all permissions by default, can do whatever. And these are the access control enters, basically what everyone can do. And this full list is the DACL list. And this is what we're gonna abuse. So yeah, as I mentioned before, misconfigured ACs can be abused to perform lateral movement or privilege escalation with an AD. In this video, we'll focus on DACL called WriteOwner. Basically, every object has an owner, and we can potentially with this WriteOwner manipulate the ownership and give us permissions over this object. And if we have the permissions, we can potentially give us a more powerful ACL, such as GenericAll, which just give us like full permission similar to like administrator over this user, and we can perform different attacks. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, and let's do it step by step. And great resource if you wanna see how each DACL is abused is this, the hacker recipes, and it has, I think, most of them here. I think there are a couple of missing, but we'll cover those so you could see. But yeah, it's a great resource if you wanna look it up. I'll link it in the description below. So yeah, here essentially for my lab setup, I have this user. We compromised fcastle, which is a normal user, and for some reason this user gave themselves WriteOwner over their admin account. So if we find them in here in the DACL, and we go to advanced, and we'll look up fcastle, we could see this permission set modify owner. This is essentially WriteOwner. So we're gonna abuse this from fcastle to compromise fcastle admin, which is a more powerful account. But yeah, let's look at how it's done. First, we need to do the enumeration, obviously. It always comes first. You need to know what permissions you have before you can abuse it. And there are 3 tools I like to use. First one is bloody AD. Essentially, we just give it the main controller IP, the main name, username, password, and we do get writable to find all the right permissions we have over other objects. And this is really good because it's recursive, and sometimes even Bloodhound cannot find what this tool can find. The only problem you have with that is, as you're gonna see, is sometimes it just tells you, hey, it's right permission, but doesn't tell you what exactly right permission you have. But for fcadmin, we have this. It says we can WriteOwner. If we were given this right permission and we want to know exactly what permission we have, we can use another tool. This is the next one called DACL edit from Impacket. This one doesn't do recursion, but what it does is you can look like what one object, what permissions it has over another object. So here, for example, here's the syntax. You just give it the main controller IP. We give a target. This like what you wanna, the object name you wanna enumerate ACLs for. It can be a SID, distinguished name, or just a SAM name, SAM account name. Doesn't matter. And a good principal. Principal is what object you wanna see if this object has permissions over this object. So essentially here, we're trying to see, hey, what permission does fcastle have or fcastle admin? And it's gonna give you a nice descriptor here. So here we get the full access mask. Sometimes, I mean most of the time, the permission will be given based on the group. So you'd have to like do a loop for each group this user is part of and look up. So for example, if it's based on a group, this is not gonna find it. You'd have to specify principal to be the group. I might show it in another video, like I'll set it up so group has permission instead of a user, and I'll show you how it works in case it doesn't make sense. But essentially, it just looks up directly based on the SID of the principal. So if like a user that fcastle is a member of, group that fcastle is a member of has permissions, this isn't gonna find it. But sorry, I just went on a rant, but I'll show it in a later video so it makes sense because it's crucial to understand. So here we also have WriteOwner, so that's great. And last but not least is obviously Bloodhound. I have it open here, so you can see that fcastle has WriteOwner over fcastle admin. Make sure you use one of the latest Bloodhound releases because I think last year this ACE wasn't captured, so but now it is. So make sure you're using the latest tools because that'll bite you in the ass at some point. It is very important. Alright, so that's it with enumeration. Just write it. Now let's move into the attack. So to perform the attack, we need to give ourselves the ownership permission first over the user fcastle admin, and this is gonna give us rights to modify the ACL we want to the object. So first we can use bloody ID to do that. We can just do set owner, and you can do -h to look at the permissions, so specify a target, which is fcastle admin, and the new owner is going to be fcastle. So yeah, now we're the owner. We can use DACL Attacks again. Actually, we don't need to use. Sorry. Yes, so now we're the owner. We could also use in-packet owner edit tool. Edit, and syntax goes like this. We specify action, which is right. We want to write an owner, and we specify -new owner. Specify the target. And the main controller and our credentials. Owner information below. So it modified, but we already were the owner, so it didn't matter. So it just says, hey, you're the owner now. So now that we're full owner of the object, we can add other access control enters to it. For example, generic write or full control. Full control is equivalent to GenericAll, meaning that we can do anything in the object. We can change password, set an SPN, yeah, essentially write MSDS key credential link to do shadow credential attack. So there are plenty of things we can do. In this video, we'll do something simple. We'll just change the password because it is very noisy, but I didn't spin up my ADCS server, so we'll just do that. For that, again, we can use either bloody ID or we can use the DACL edit. I'm just gonna show DACL edit because it's very easy. So again, we need to specify principal target, but now we have to add action. Great. So we just want to specify the rights we want to add to the object, and in this case we want to add full control, so which is essentially GenericAll. Let's do this. Dash action. Oh, dash actions actually. I need to specify what action I want to do. So I want to do an action, right? Organized arguments. Something didn't like. It is the identity. What are you not liking? Local. That looks good. If I just copy paste, I understand what I got wrong. This worked. This didn't. Oh, because I had to specify the rights. See, everyone makes mistakes. So yeah, you just have to give it action, and the rights you have to specify the permissions you want to give it. That's why they work. So now we query the permissions we have right now using DACL Edit again. So we just want to see what permissions we have currently. We can see that access mask is full control. So we now have full control over the user. So we can just use bloody ID to set the password. Set password. And we need to specify the user. And the new password, I'll do something like this. So set the password, and now we can authenticate using netexec to confirm that it's working. And thus we're able to authenticate. So yeah, that's pretty much it for owner edit. Again, I'll leave a few links in the description below. Again, to recap, first we have to enumerate the ACLs we have. We can use Blood ID, DACL Edit, or Bloodhound. I personally like running Blood ID first because it does it recursively, and sometimes Bloodhound doesn't pick up on some of this stuff. If it was too many levels deep, like for example, there are like 15 groups, they're nested, and one of them gives you permissions over an object. Bloodhound sometimes miss it, but that scenario using Blood ID first to get all the writable objects, and then using DACL Edit to find exactly what permissions you have is my favorite combination personally, but you do you. Next one, we give our permissions ownership. We set ownership of our user over the target, and then we just give ourselves GenericAll full control. And with that, we can reset password, set an SPN to do targeted Kerberos roasting, or we can set a do a shadow credential attack. So yeah, as per defense, we just need to make sure we use tools like Bloodhound so we could identify this misconfigurations and nip them in the butt, so to speak, and remove those before bad guys find those. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video of this series. We'll explore some other rights to abuse access control and tests. Take care, bye.